Good morning.
Good morning.
Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, you've heard this phrase all the while, right? But what does it mean to you? When I was a kid, every Sunday morning, my dad would take our family 2 hours on a journey from Ocho Rios to Kingston, Jamaica, to go to church. Now, about an hour into the ride, my sisters and I would get restless and demand to know, how long is this ride gonna take? When are we gonna get there? My dad, he'd look over his shoulder and he'd say, kids, look out the window, look at the scenery, just enjoy the drive. 2 years ago, my dad passed. And as the family gathered, we were reminiscing, my sisters and I, about all these great sayings that my father would have. And we all remembered that one that he would tell us on Sunday morning, just enjoy the drive. That sort of became the mantra of my life. It has allowed me to have a different perspective of situations around me. It also helped me not to take myself so seriously. Just enjoy the drive. You know, the drive is all about the dash. That space between when we start and when we finish our journey. How we live and how we spend our dash. And the dash is the journey. It's the steps we take and what happens on our journey to the end of life. There is an old Chinese proverb that says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And for us, that step starts the day we were born. Now, some of us have grown up and we've managed to get on multiple journeys. And every now and again, those multiple journeys, they intersect. But as Chantel would say, there's therapy for that. But seriously, have you ever considered what the picture of your journey looks like? Do you know how powerful your journey is? If you knew how powerful your journey is, you would not be held back from potential any longer. If you are in here today and you know the power of your journey, I want you to go ahead and connect to that power right now. See, that power is in your mind. In fact, the mind is the steering mechanism for our journey. I can tell by the looks of your faces that some of you are not convinced. Well, let me tell you a story about a man who went on an amazing journey from living in a homeless shelter to being worth $20 million today because of the power of his mind. He's a Vietnamese immigrant. He grew up in a homeless shelter, poor, right here in America. He had to work 2 jobs as a teenager just to survive. But then he grew up, he went on, and he eventually became a realtor. Yes, a realtor. And with working long hours and hard work, he eventually began to make the income that he'd always dreamed of. But for him, something was missing. He wasn't happy. He felt that he was not good enough. Now, Chantel, can you imagine making $50,000 a month and not feeling good enough?
No.
Well, that was a fact for him. And then he met someone who introduced him to an idea about contributing to others. And as he started contributing both time and money to others around him and around the world, he began to feel happier. His purpose came into view, and his wealth expanded. He went from making $700,000 a year to $7 million in 1 year. He worked less, he had less stress, and he made 10 times more money. He had no new plan or no new strategy. He had all of that perfectly in place. But he had a mental breakthrough. He had a switch in his perspective, how he viewed himself and how he viewed the world. It allowed his income to expand and allowed him to have that ultimate ride. His journey felt a whole lot different. So I ask you today, what does your journey feel like? What is your perspective of the drive? Are you so busy and preoccupied with wealth building strategies? Is work and money your only focus? For some of us, it's getting more things than we need and less about giving back and contributing to others.